Get 5 coffins ready.
Why, hello there, everybody. Today, what I'm doing is something no one has ever done. I'm going to talk about the closed alpha 24/7 and what I want to see from it from the SMITE 2 alpha 24/7 alpha test. Wow, I didn't know what to title this video even because it's such a jumbly sentence, 24/7 closed alpha SMITE 2. It's like, oh my god, there's so many numbers and words. But anyways, this will be broken down into 3 parts, and then there's a mystery 4th part. So I'm going to talk about, because I've been a negative Nancy, I'm going to talk about what they've done well so far, okay, first and foremost, what I think they absolutely need to have, and then what I would like to see in the future. That could be in the 24/7 alpha, but if they don't have it in the alpha, it's all good. They can do it somewhere down the line, and that'll be bigger things that maybe they can't bring till in just a month's time. So all right, let's go. So what I think has been good so far is the God release schedule and quality. I mean, they've stuck to it. We've gotten a really good influx of characters so far. 1 month we get 2 characters, the next month we get 3, the next month we get 2, the next month we get 3, supposedly next month I think should be Jingwei, Yamoja, and maybe Mordred. We'll see though. If they're able to do 3, then I think I double down on this idea that their God release schedule has been really good, and the quality of them has been really good as well. You can say hey, maybe the gameplay doesn't feel where it should be, but at the very least, every single god that's coming out is similar to the quality of the gods that have already been in the game, right? So, yeah, I think pretty good overall there. And also some stability improvements have been great. I was getting crazy frame rate drops on the first alpha weekend, second alpha weekend, but then third it started getting better, and now in Conquest in weekend 4, I basically get almost no frame drops occasionally, but almost none. And you can tell in Arena I get some frame drops here and there, but that's just because Arena is brand new. Yeah, I think they're doing a great job in improving the system performance, but obviously the server performance, we will get there, because obviously it's not there. Boom. That was such a good... If I was transitioning to the server issues right now, I'd be cooked. Right, the general balance so far has been pretty good. I wasn't a big fan of Soul, but I think I was overrating Soul when she first came out, so on the whole, it's all good. She's not that OP. Hades, I still think the way they reworked his ultimate was ridiculous, absolutely absurd. They should have just allowed you to be able to 2, to get people to stop doing damage to you, or to 3, deal a little bit of extra damage and heal yourself. Being able to have a CC immune dash in this game, I mean, after how they've, tried to make strides to make Susano feel a little bit more balanced, for example, making his ultimate not quite as powerful, not allowing him to displace as much, and so on and so forth, and, the fact that he still has no CC immunity. So Hades just has a double leap, apparently, and one of them is CC immune. I mean, it's a little silly, right? So I still don't like how Hades feels. And CERN, I think CERN is a very clear example of the hybrid strength intelligence thing not working, because I feel like the character just suffers because there's not a good way to balance intelligence and strength on a single character at the moment. So characters who focus solely on strength or solely on intelligence thrive, and gods like CERN kind of suck, because they just plain don't do as much damage because of the way the weird scaling works. I'm not saying it can't work, but the UI so far I think has been great. You should be able to edit your HUD, and that'll be one of my points later on. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but the UI has looked really good so far. It looks fresh. It looks new. I know I'm gonna miss the old. It didn't work very well, but the old SMITE UI. It was homely. It was nice. It was very early 2010s ish, and the big godly. This big sound effects, that was the worst sound effect ever. By the way, I mean, if you want an updated UI, so far so good there. Functionality of the UI we will get to, but I also liked Arena. Seems more fun. It's not perfect, I'll get to that later, but I've found with the bushes on the sides, with the gifts dropping down and stuff, and especially how they start dropping down faster and faster, like the gifts are supposed to be flowers thrown in by the crowd. That's fun. So far I'm really liking how Arena feels. I'll get to it later, but there are some issues with the bushes. They can be a little cheesy, but thus far I like it. Oh, sorry, I got a little ahead there. But what I think we absolutely need in this 24/7 alpha, not everything's a huge deal here, so don't worry. I know it's a big list. Not everything's going to be a big change. Matchmaking needs to be in the game. I'm not going to play the 24/7 alpha. Not at all. I'll play it here and there. But I refuse to play the 24/7 alpha if there's no matchmaking. If deserters don't get some sort of like in SMITE 1, it wasn't perfect, but there was a goodwill system where if you left too many games, you would just get put in worse and worse queues. You would get longer queue times and so on. That needs to be in SMITE 2 right now. Right now it needs to be in SMITE 2 because yesterday I had a total, I think, of like, I should have counted. I'm sorry, I'm not a very good YouTuber. About 13 levers, like just in queue, just trying to get into a conquest queue just because like someone picked a god that they wanted to play. They just left the queue immediately. And in levers, I think in this alpha weekend I've had 2 games where there weren't levers. Sorry, I know I don't have a full. I played about 20 matches, I would say. So like 9 out of 10 matches, there's someone leaving. So we need matchmaking to make matches feel closer for individual players, right? So that people don't just feel like it's doomed, for one, and two, these people who keep on leaving games, they need to be penalized like for posterity. Posthumously, I'm sorry, my word usage is off there, but we also need major item shop improvements like ASAP. I'm not a console player, but I know it's still trash on console. It's trash on console, and on PC, very simple things, just like being able to buy a tier 1 in the like little area where you have tier 3 you just finished or something, like some items use 2 skekogs, for example, 2 tier 2 items, it's called skekogs. So say you click on one skekogs, you buy that while you're looking at the tier 3 item, and you want to click on the skekogs again, the same skekogs, just to like get 2 of them, right? Because that's how you make the item. You can't do it. You have to click on another skekogs, or like if you want to just get 2 skekogs because you know your next item is going to have it, and it's like it's the best tier 2 power spike item. So you want to buy 2 of them because hey, I have the gold for it. I might as well just do that now, give myself a bigger power spike. Like what you do on mages with that mask item, I forget what it's called, I'm sorry. But you can't do it for some reason. And like if you're playing an assassin or hunter and like you want to buy axe, but like if you just finish Sunbeam Bow, you can't just click on the axe that's under Sunbeam Bow in the little tree. You have to go back to the item, the actual item shop, look up to axe, or like find your next item and like double click on that. It's just it's so needlessly annoying. So I think they're improving it slowly, but I think this should just be like done with. This should be done with by now. This should be just working. I'm not a programmer, but I think an item shop is like the bare minimum to get things going. So I also think like some sort of mock ascension pass would be really cool. Just some sort of progress. If you don't know what the ascension pass is, it's like a battle pass, but it's like for individual characters. So it's going to be the new system for like worshippers and getting God's Diamond. That's what the Ascension Pass is, and you have to buy them for individual characters. So I think just have them for free in the alpha so we can see what the system is like, what they have in mind for the system. I think we need some sort of progression because right now we're just playing the game, playing random SMITE 2 matches because there's no matchmaking, for like no reason really other than just to experience SMITE 2, and like just a little bit of feeling of progression goes a long way, I think. So just give us their idea of what the Ascension Pass will be like. It doesn't have to affect our permanent accounts when the game comes out. I mean, who cares really? Just give us, so we could also give you feedback about the Ascension Pass too, right? It's a double whammy. We get progression, you guys get feedback on the Ascension Pass. Boom. I think it's a win-win. More improvements on feedback on successful hits of like abilities and basic attacks. Like the damage numbers need to be a lot bigger, I think, and they need to be immediate. They made them a little more immediate, but I noticed that the damage numbers are still like fading in when you land the ability or basic attack. The text still fades in. Dude, just have it like come up when I hit it and have a really good sound effect for it. Right now the sound effects for successful hits are a little weak in this game, and in general the audio seems a little bit off. Maybe it's consequential, each is consequential with the other, that like the audio system isn't working quite how they want, so like a really loud successful hit sound might not be mixed in right. But I think they that, as well as making the text really pop and making the text even bigger, would be a big improvement. We also really need communication outside of VGS right now. It doesn't need to be text chat. They don't need voice chat right now. Bare minimum, what they need to do, and this needs to be in SMITE 2, by the way. This system needs to be in SMITE 2. You need to be able to ping your, not necessarily your team's items, because I know that usually that can lead to some toxicity, right? But if you can just click on the enemy team's relics or item usage, I mean, that's perfect. It is completely perfect. It'd be just enough information, you know, because you can't just like you can't just keep pinging like a Neath who just used beads or something and be like gank gank gank. That's not going to be very helpful. If you could just click on, if you hold down tab, click on the person's like beads or whatever. It just says neath beads, and that implies that like, oh, she must have just used beads. Cool, nice. All right, now I know I can go gank her. It's so simple, and I know they can do it in Unreal 5. I don't know if they could in Unreal 3. I know that on console maybe that'd be a little harder to pull off. Don't care. They need something more than VGS so that we can communicate. 125%. Sorry, didn't mean to show that. They need to buff towers. I don't know why they nerfed towers. End of the sentence. Basically, I can dive all day along. It doesn't matter which character I am, and then the towers die instantly as well. It's terrible. And I don't think you should be able to stack buffs on yourself. I think you should be able to stack buffs if they're the neutral buffs or if they're the enemy team's buffs. But all people do in Smite 2 right now, when they get pissy, they just walk around killing your camps, and they don't just take the XP and farm, the XP and gold. They take the buff with them as well. Shitty, stupid idea. Sorry, I know that's toxic, but I think that was a not smart idea, because people just troll all day with how it is right now. You should be able to stack, like, I already said it, I know, but I'm just reiterating, it's a cool idea if you could just like stack on top of each other like the neutral camps, and when you successfully invade, you get their buffs too. Like, that's fire. Your team's trolling you, that's not, though. So yeah. And this sounds kind of, reading it now, it sounds kind of silly, but I do think we needed some assurances that the server issues of Smite 1 are not going to happen in Smite 2, because what happened on the first day of Weekend 4, the Smite 1 servers were taking a huge dump. They were just terrible. Like, everyone was lagging around for like no reason. Then the Smite 2 servers started, and I was like, oh, good, I can get out of these Smite 1 servers. Great, let's go play some Smite 2. It was laggy there too. So Hi-Rez has got to figure this out, because people aren't just gonna sit there and play a laggy game in 2024 or 2025. It's just not gonna happen. People aren't taking that anymore. You know, just like having constant desyncs and stuttering around, and like players teleporting around just because of the server issues. Like, that rips the competitive nature out of the game completely and utterly, and just it makes people who aren't invested in the game, because I still play Smite because I love it, right? So if there's server issues, it's like, oh, okay, I'll just play it another day. People are just not going to play the game if they have that like sinking feeling of like, oh, what if there's server problems today? I'll just play something else that I know is going to work, even though I like Smite, you know? So I want some assurances there, but what I'd like down the line, these are things that are not that important or are like really hard to pull off, and I know they probably can't do it. So please just give us the option to ward an arena. I really like the battle cry system. I think it's a lot of fun, huge pop-off potential, and I think it's one of the things that makes arena really even more exciting than it was in Smite 2, and it's awesome. Yeah, not everyone needs the battle cry though, so please give us the option to ward in the bushes. Maybe make it like a special ward that you could that anyone can see or kill when it's in the bush. Like, if they're in the bush with the ward, they can kill it. You know, so it's not just like a stupid like just ward game. No one can use the bushes because they're always warded type thing. You know, try and work around that a little bit, but give us the option to ward those bushes, because I ran into a party earlier and they just stacked in the bushes. We didn't even want to walk up because we knew we were going to get blinked on out of the bush, and we didn't know when. So it's a little bit too easy to cheese as it is with no wards. And I think we need a reapproach to the ward system. Honestly, my brain kind of turns off when I stream, and I'm really not as well spoken as I am like off stream. Not that well spoken, but you know what I mean. But I had a moment of pure clarity when I figured out what's going on in these late game situations in Smite 2 and why games just don't end. Because the Fire Giant is strong; it's worth fighting over. What is it? Whatever, the special gold fury that shuts off structures, that's strong too. The problem is you take a risk by going for the objective. You take a huge risk, right? Because your team starts taking damage from a neutral source, right? The enemy team takes no risk at all for you taking damage, right? You're taking on all the risk. So what can you do about that? Well, in Smite 1, what do? You buy tons and tons of wards, and you try and get some ward coverage, and you play a little bit of a back and forth, try and find better spots to ward to where you won't get counter warded and so on. You simply can't do that in Smite 2 with the current ward system. You just can't. We need wards that you can buy. We 100% need them, because there's too much ground to cover. There's just too much ground to cover, and it just either perma stays there, or you just don't want to ward first, because you know what's going to happen. You're going to place your ward, and you won't have a ward for 2 minutes. And what they do is they just place the common warding. They place their counter ward in the common warding positions, and now they just get your ward for free, and you have no way to do anything about that ward, and you can't do anything, and you don't want to go on Fire Giant because like you have to double up on the risk. You have to take the risk of leashing the Fire Giant, and you also have to just preemptively put down wards and just kind of hope they don't counter ward it, which they are 100% going to do. So, especially in like a competitive situation, right? Not saying that happens too often in Smite 2 because of no matchmaking, but you know what I mean. I think this ward system is what's really dragging out games because people have no idea what's going on the map. Like, and it's so easy to counter ward, and just like if you ward first, you're just screwed because you're just gonna get counter warded, and you're not gonna have a ward for almost 2 minutes. I like what they were going for with this, but I think when you upgrade your ward, you should be able to like start buying wards. I think something like that. And I think more meaningful objectives peppered throughout the game time. But you know, just like having more fun objectives, like the Bull Demon King in Smite 1. Honestly, kind of fire. I wasn't the biggest fan of Season 11. For about the first half of it, I didn't love it, but now I'm really enjoying it. And part of it is also because of this Bull Demon King. It's so fun. It is so fun to go for and try and like, because it's easy to get. It doesn't give you a massive advantage, but it gives you a small advantage for a short amount of time. It feels great, and I think like the teleporters in Smite 2 are so cheesy and lame, and it's just so easy just to rotate back and forth, especially on a god who like gets his cooldowns reset, like Thanatos or Loki. Like you could just literally just kill solo lane. Go to the ADC lane, go to the duo lane and kill that lane, and then you can go into mid and just like it's too much. The teleporters are not like a healthy, fun way to like keep you engaged in the match. Whereas I think Bull Demon King in Smite 1 is. I am going on for way too long. Choosing items, relics, and aspects streamlined. This I wrote this. I wrote this very quickly while I was in a match. So. I think you should, like when you're doubling up on tanks and stuff, you obviously don't want to double up on like the Sentinel's Gift or whatever it is. The aspect that uses the Sentinel's Gift icon, I forget what it's called. You don't want to double up on that, right? So like, say I want to go Barbarian instead, but I don't know if my teammate has already picked that. So you, like the thing is, while you're picking these things, you can't even press tab to see what your teammates have bought yet. So you don't know like where their strengths and weaknesses are going to be, and like what they have, so we don't double up on something, and so on. You know. And I think just like this complete lockout, like that sort of lock, you know how it literally locks you out from the game until you have your everything selected. I think they can make that a little bit more flexible, like and just like have it like in Smite, where like you just I know people like didn't buy relics in Smite or whatever. Who cares if people really don't know to buy aspects after a big bar comes up saying you forgot to buy an aspect? That's on them. I think the whole lock you out from playing the game thing in Smite 2 in the start of the match is it's too much. It's too much. You don't have to lock us out of the game. So more visible clarity with abilities, and even reuse assets if they need to. For example, Hecate 1. If you're marked by Hecate 1, admittedly, like if you know what Hecate does, like you should know, like if you didn't get stunned by Hecate, that means you're marked, right? If you got hit with the blue one, but like. It's not very clear because there's just a little exclamation point on the lower right. It's not very clear when you've been like say like you're in the midst of a team fight and you got hit by a Hecate 1, like you may not even notice because there's nothing above your own head, even though she can see it, right? And your teammates can see it, but you can't see it. So like here and there's just like little visual clarity things that just really don't look great. And again with Hecate, her 2 landing and her ultimate, they're almost exactly the same color. So if you catch it at a bad angle, obviously they're different sizes. If you catch it at the wrong angle, it looks exactly like her ultimate. If there's like a 2, I've beads to Hecate 2 before. I cried after, but you know, so I think a little bit more clarity would go a long way. And I think skins as well are a bit of a problem with this because there's Cock Demon Demir. I'm sorry, I really don't know how to pronounce that skin's name. His ultimate looks just like Hecate ultimate if they're on the enemy team, because there's obviously that little red hue to them. They look almost exactly the same. So I've gotten like I'm just like, oh, I'll just eat the Hecate ultimate, no problem. Then I got hit by 1,000 damage Ymir ultimate instead. So yeah. A little bit more clarity will go a long way, and more clarity in the HUD as well. For example, like pings on the minimap. I know I mentioned that a little bit earlier. Pings on the minimap right now are trash. They are trash. Someone pings the minimap and like, huh? Where? Where was that? I have no idea where half of the pings are on the map, and I end up just like staring at it, and I was like eating 50 basic attacks from Cernanos. Where is it? Okay, was it over there? Oh, my VTuber reset. Just like I want to be able to edit the HUD like in Smite 1. When they allowed you to re-edit the HUD in Smite 1, I mean, it honestly, fire. It doesn't need to be that good, but they should at least give us the option to make the map bigger. Bare minimum, we need to be able to make the minimap bigger because it's way too small, and make pings way more obvious like they were in Smite 1. They are fire in Smite 1 now that I'm thinking about it, because there's like the red dot that just pings out, the yellow dot that pings out. Right now, it's just a yellow dot that just sits there. And you know what color the minimap is? It's a lightish orangish yellow. So a lot of the time the ping just like, it looks like the ground on the minimap. God, I was doing the worst face ever there. You guys are lucky I have this stupid VTuber thing and not a face cam. And they're overusing the interact key, I feel like. Not a huge deal. It's not a huge deal at the moment. But I think for one thing, the interactions should be shorter. They should have a longer range, and not everything needs an interact key. For example, the gifts in Arena, they do not need to be interacted with. We should just be able to walk right over them. I couldn't really think of too many other examples at the moment, because obviously the gold offerings, they're kind of on their way out, it looks like, because they got rid of them in the solo and duo. They're probably going to think of something else to do in the mid lane, because the gold offerings were just kind of lame, so we're kind of running low on things to interact with actually in the game. So yeah, I think that's it for the main three ideas there. So let's get down to business. So I'm not really going to go too deep in here, because this is a topic I could probably talk about for 30 minutes straight. So this is more something I want to hear about with you guys. So just the baseline of my argument with this, the Smite 2 devs' philosophy. Did they just get this wrong from the very start? So people have wanted a new engine for Smite for a very long time, but as far as I'm aware from my research, they couldn't have even imported stuff into Unreal 4. So it was always going to be this hard reset, which is why they never wanted to do it. They wanted to drag out Unreal 3 as long as they could. 100% fair, because like obviously the amount of discourse around Smite 2 has been astonishing. So doing it any earlier than like 10 years of the game existing, yeah, it would have been torrid. It would have been a terrible time. So I understand why they waited this long. But people wanted Smite in a new engine, not a whole new game. And I don't think they misinterpreted it. I think they saw an opportunity for change, but when people didn't really want it, and I mean, aren't they kind of just like throwing away 12 years of work? Are they not? Because obviously, I mean, they're reusing assets for now, and stuff like that, and they're reusing some item ideas here and there, but aren't they kind of just throwing away all of their work that nobody really wants them to throw away? Like, who wants the entire Smite item shop to be gone? Nobody, really. I mean, some maybe fundamental changes here and there, I guess, but nobody asked. Like Smite's different because it has this streamlined, this person's physical, this person's magical thing. If it's just like a hodgepodge, then why don't I just play the more tenured League of Legends, right? Like the more well thought out, way more content, way more competitive, way more players League of Legends. Like I play Smite because it's Smite. I don't like I am gonna play Smite 2, but I don't necessarily see myself playing Smite 2 for all that long, because it's just like, well, I'm just playing Smite with less characters, items. I don't have a emotional attachment to items. Jeez, what am I saying? But anyways, you know what I mean. It's going to be Smite that's not really Smite anymore. So how is that going to draw in the people who are already playing Smite? So what I think happened is they saw, like, okay, we're going to need to redo absolutely everything in Unreal Engine 5. So we might as well just rework the items, rework the map, rework the fundamentals of like physical and magical damage, strength and intelligence, all that stuff. Let's do all that so we have some stuff to advertise. But I don't know. I feel like they could have just done everything that's in Smite in Unreal Engine 5, still called it Smite 2, do exactly what they're doing, just don't make all these weird fundamental changes. Just make it exactly like it is in Unreal Engine 5. Wouldn't that have just caused so many fewer problems? And wouldn't that mean we get everything quicker? You know what I mean? Then they can just change stuff down the line so they retain more players that way. Does that make sense to you guys? Does that make any sense at all? Or do you like them being a little more radical with it? I think them being more radical with it and changing more stuff than they need to, I think that's been the biggest downfall so far, because what am I trying to say? It draws away people who love Smite for being Smite, and it overcomplicates it for themselves as well, because they're trying to think of all these brand new things. Ooh, look at this! We got this new, and it's just like, well, do people who don't play Smite even care? Do people even care about that? Like, I feel like Smite's been around so long, most people know what Smite is, even though even if they haven't been able to play it or been interested in playing it, they might just see, oh, hey, they're kind of redoing Smite. It looks really pretty now, and it's gonna run really well on my new PlayStation console. It's gonna be awesome. This is gonna be a good opportunity to play Smite. And then they're just like throwing all these changes at you. It's like, oh my god, they're changing all these things about Smite. Didn't people like Smite? Why are they changing so much about Smite? Is this a bad idea? I don't know. Like, it just overcomplicates things so much for everybody, Smite players and people who don't play Smite alike. And they're trying to like use Smite 2 as like a marketing thing, but it's just like, it's not. They could have just like played it safe and just like done. We're gonna do Smite, but it's gonna be awesome because it's in Unreal Engine 5. Ow! I hit my nose on my mic. My nose is really big. Oh, I need a podcast. All right, that's it for me, fellas. What do you guys think about? Do you think any of these should be definitely in the 24/7 closed alpha, or do you think like they're not even that important at all? Do you think some of these can be postponed? And do you think some of them? Do you agree with me that some of them need to be in the 24/7 alpha? Do you disagree with me that these have been good so far? And most importantly, what do you think the Smite 2 devs' philosophy thus far? Do you agree with them? Disagree with them? Oh my god, I can't believe I talked for 28 minutes. I'm so embarrassed. Goodbye. Thank you for watching.